Being skinny isn't about the way that you look. It's about assimilating into what the leisure class deems valuable at the moment. Now, let me explain. I'm someone that grew up during the era of thigh gaps and bikini bridges. You see these images, and subliminally, they're trying to tell you that this is what's beautiful because the people that have these are supermodels and the rich and famous, and it makes you think that, oh, I have to look like that in order to look like them, and they're living really great lives apparently. But being skinny isn't actually about the way you look. Looking skinny isn't actually the end all be all point of it. It's about looking like you don't have to work, because people that are rich, people that are in the bourgeoisie, the people that are in the leisure class, they don't have to think about working. They don't have to work. They're already rich. They have money. They have resources. So their bodies are an extension of that unspoken value. Value of that class, though, not of anything actually valuable. It's just to differentiate themselves from the working class, from the proletariat. Because if you're living in an era where there's a lot of food, like maybe right now, there's a lot of food that's available. Is it good food? Is it nourishing food? Nah, but there's a lot of cheap food. Because it's easy to overeat or to have a more unfit appearance because of these types of food. Obviously, the rich class don't want to look like that. They want to differentiate themselves from the people that are working, because goodness forbid they look like they're working, right? They have to look like they don't work. They only have pleasure. So alternatively, if we were in an era where no one could eat and it's so expensive to find food, obviously the working class is going to look thinner. And so the rich class, the leisure class, can't look thin. They have to look more plush. They have to look like they can eat and eat and eat and eat some more, because they don't have to work. They don't have to think about working. They're just thinking about pleasure. And these two things have happened in our history before. And now we're at a point of history where you can be thin and you can be thick. But then there was Zempic. And so you could be thick and then very thin really quickly. And so now the rich, they don't just want to be thin. They have to move to another layer of inaccessibility, of extreme, because they don't want it to be easy for the working class to catch up with them. So now they're moving into a territory that is extreme and unhealthy. They're moving to a territory where they look frail. They look like they cannot work because they don't need to work. They have teams of people that work for them. They have crews and assistants. They don't have to think about anything else but themselves and what they ought to wear to their fancy parties, right? And that's where they get you. And now that we've reached a point where frail is in, and now that frail is in, during a time where it's getting consistently harder to find a job, to have your own house, to even eat, you are slowly being conditioned. We are slowly being conditioned into thinking that this is normal, that this is something we should achieve. So that when you come to a point, we, as the working class, when we come to a point where we cannot eat, where we cannot afford to eat anything, and we start looking like that, regardless of our desire, it's going to look normal. And by that point, the rich would have moved on. They would have moved on, and moved away from it and thinks, and they'll treat it as if it's disturbing, and they're like they never had a part in this at all. And they're probably gonna do something inaccessible again. They're probably going to value really muscular, lean bodies, because again, it's gonna be really hard to achieve that kind of lifestyle when you can't eat and you can't allot time to work out. So what does that mean for us? That means that we have to consciously every day be comfortable with the way that we look when we eat, when we consume things, when we work, because our bodies are not meant to look like what they look like on TV or what they look like on magazines, if people still read them. Those are heavily manipulated, and you are never going to look like that on a day-to-day basis. You have to be conscious of the fact that this is propaganda, and they want you to be okay with this. They want you to be frail and weak and stupid and unable to think because you're so hungry and you're so you're clamoring for food, so that when they start turning the tides, you can't do anything. You're like, wait, hold on. You can't do anything because you have no power. So just enjoy your cake. That sounds so fucking nihilistic, Marie Antoinette, but really enjoy your cake while you can afford a cake, and eat the rich.